I think we're live.
Yeah, we are. We're up.
Good morning. Welcome. There's always that awkward pause where we're wondering whether we're live or not. We are. And hey, we got a great discussion today on the use of weightlifting belts. It's come off the back of a question from one of our legendary members in the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group. If you haven't joined and you're watching on YouTube, I urge you to jump over and join that group because you will get access to our 20-minute flexibility routine, our 10-minute warm-up routines for the upper and lower body that we teach in the UMS, and the opportunity to work with the legendary Rad Bullmeister for 5 days, fully free in our flexibility challenge. It's delivering breakthroughs all over the world for people and their physical performance in training, and it is legit. You don't have to pay for it. All we ask you to do is make a small donation, it can be a large donation if you want, to our charity of choice for mental health. Anyway, before we do get into today's topic, allow me to introduce us. My name is Yanni Bullmeister. Of course, to my right, your left is Rad Bullmeister, my brother. And below us is Richard Lellies,
Howdy.
aka Richard the Rig Lellies. The three of us are founders, co-founders, and creators of the UMS and Unity Gym. And our goal is to teach you to unleash your inner athlete, to become stronger, more flexible, and more fit. How are you, boys?
I'm
Good.
great. I'm
Great.
great. Yeah, I'm really good. This is a really good topic that we're talking about today. The Kookaburras
I heard
here
that.
think it's a
Agree.
good topic as well.
Yeah. So Aussie.
They've just
So
chimed
Aussie.
out right there. It's a
Nothing
really
here.
good topic because one of our movement mastermind members has questioned the validity of wearing a weight belt, saying that wouldn't the core muscles do their job on their own without a weight belt? And for me, it's a good topic because I remember being exactly where you are now, Shane. I remember it. I remember thinking, why
Yep.
would you need it? That doesn't make sense. If you're strong, and then the core is going to do the same thing. And I used to think the same thing about lifting shoes. I
Yep.
used to, but I'm a personal trainer with almost 20 years experience now. And I came from a perception where I did martial arts and I was all about barefoot training, no knee wraps, no weight belts, none of it. I just really believed that it wasn't necessary and it was a silly thing to do, and it was something that was done by people that were injured to make up for the injuries that they had. Despite Yanni, who came around a long time before me, trying to convince me that I was wrong, Shane, for me, what really convinced me was that I was pointed in the direction of Sarah Key, who's a,
Yeah, I
a
was
world
just
renowned He's a
just trying to
world-renowned
bring up
physiotherapist.
her
She's the
research.
physiotherapist of the Queen, and she's basically spent an entire career spanning many, many decades as a physiotherapist, developing physiotherapy techniques around the back. And she wrote an article where she was
Fine.
talking about how a weight belt increases the activation of the deep core muscles and strengthens the back. It's not about protecting it in a lift to make up for a lack of strength. It actually increases strength in the core in the same way that squatting increases strength in the legs and everything else. And when I read that, because, she's someone with high credentials, a very high level of education, a very credible person who explained it in a really, really good way. And if you want to look into that, I can't even remember how I found it, but I remember when I looked into it, it wasn't that
You
hard to
you
find on the
you
internet.
you found it because I showed you. But I've just got some of the notes up from her. She did a really great workshop in Sydney a couple of years back, and yeah, look, it's funny. I think something that's really important that a lot of us don't do for whatever reason is pay attention to what the world's strongest people are doing within
Yeah,
weightlifting,
yeah,
Mm.
and you will very rarely see one of the world's strongest powerlifters or strongmen performing, competing without a weight belt. I don't think you will ever see it.
yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I know that they've got like Raw and Pro Raw and all that sort of stuff, but I don't hang out at the competition very much, but I hang out when they train a lot. I've owned gyms and we've had literally the strongest people in the world in our gyms training, and I've never seen them lifting without a weight belt. And so that sort
Mm.
of caught my attention after a while, and I started to think, okay, we should probably pay attention to this. then when I looked at the work of people like Sarah Key, it really, really changed my mind. And what I answered in the comment on our Movement Mastermind group, makes a lot of sense. And I heard this first from Sebastian Oreb, who's a very, very well-renowned strength coach for powerlifters and other athletes, and very successful in powerlifting himself. I think he still holds the record for the Australian squat in his weight division, 400 kilo squat, which is phenomenal, and he's a good friend of ours. He's been on our podcast many times. And he said, and he, he didn't put it like, I know this is fact, but he said, yeah, look, I just find that when you have something to push against, you get more core activation and more core stimulus. And if you look at these guys, they've got big muscles around the core musculature, and they've done a lot of research on powerlifters now for spine health, and found that, like, their abdominal areas and their midsections and their trunks are like seriously developed to stabilize that area of the body from the bottom of the rib cage to the hips that need to be strong and stable when you're deadlifting hundreds and hundreds of kilos, thousands of pounds, lifting in the bench, squat, and deadlift disciplines. And so, it's really important that we pay attention and don't discredit the reality of what these guys are doing. Like, they're the strongest people in the world. Why wouldn't you listen to them?
And I made that
but then on top of that, sorry, just let me get this out. Yeah, looking at Sarah, who's then analyzed and really debunked the whole notion of, you've got to lift with a straight spine, and you all of this sort of stuff. But as simple as it is, if you were just to touch your bicep and flex it, you'll get a better flex than when you don't touch it, because of the proprioception. You now have the sensory feedback from the fingertips sending signal to the brain, which helps you. And it's the same when you're working with someone who's struggling to activate a certain muscle system. If you dig your finger into it, they'll generally go, okay. And it just connects the brain. You get that little bit of additional proprioception. The exact same thing happens, but on a much larger scale, when you've got a weight belt to push against when you're lifting heavy. It helps upregulate the musculature of the abdominals and core, not downregulate it like people sort of think. So although you think, and I think where it comes from is, like, you think about when you break a bone, you put a cast on it to mobilize it, and then the muscle deteriorates over time because you're not moving it. Immobilize it, and then, the muscle deteriorates. Anyone who's ever had a broken limb, when that cast comes off, the muscle's all gone. It's all wasted away because you haven't used it. And that maybe creates this notion in our heads, okay, well, if you put a weight belt on, it's going to do the same. I don't know. I'm making an assumption there. But anyway.
Yeah, for me, sorry, I'll add my 2 cents quickly. For me, when I first saw these things, I generally figured, like, it's something that people with weak lower backs use. Like, if you have a weak lower back, you use a belt, But and then at the same time, my head was like, well, if you build a strong lower back, you won't need it. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, like you guys said, you learn these techniques from these strongest guys in the world, and professionals like Sarah Keys that have, like, a scientific background, and then it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, we've got a really good question from Kumaran in our Facebook group in the Movement Mastermind. They're very timely topic. I was considering whether to get one, but I have no idea what to get. I'm linking the company that we use.
Kumaran, if you can, I mean, we've had guys at Unity Gym, Kumaran, who have gone to Rebel and bought a weight belt for $50 that they found worked well for them. And of course you can do that. That's totally fine. We personally went with the best. We went with the company that Yanni's linked, and they make a belt called a Pioneer lifting belt. And we use the lever belt. If you look on there, there's heaps of different ones. We use the 8 centimeter,
10 millimeter lever arch.
10 millimeter lever arch. They're incredible, man. They are worth every cent. And if you want, you can even ask them to make the Unity Gym one, because they'll probably still have our logo on file.
Yeah, we've got customized. They do customize stuff, but it's something that you'll have for the rest of your life, and it's just a great investment. And we've got Pete got it on the YouTube channel.
Yanni, this is the last question we're going to be able to answer, because we're going to go to our coaching call.
Absolutely.
He's saying, I need a belt because I slipped a disc in my back, simply can't squat or dead without one. It does really help with a lot of issues like that, Pete. That said, we've worked with a lot of people who have, as they say, slipped a disc in their back, and we've successfully rehabilitated many, many, many back issues now without diagnosing you at all. There are things that you can do to dramatically improve your situation so that you can squat and deadlift without relying on a belt. And if you're not in the US, I highly recommend that you get on an online physio consult with Phil from adpt.physio. He's incredible and it will change your life. I'm going to link it there. There we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, you can hear me. I think Yanni, though, has dropped out.
I think Yanni's dropped out.
There he is.
Back.
He's back.
Yeah. Just very quickly, Shane has followed up here. Can I ask how the belt touches all the deep internal muscles? To upregulate and control these muscles. I'm not sure if that's a serious question, but I'll answer it as though it is. It doesn't need to, Shane. Muscles don't work individually. Muscles work as systems. So that would suggest that muscles work in compartmentalized sort of separate ways, but they don't. We work as a system. You'll find that the moment that and this is true, the moment that you make a fist, your core engages. So, you don't need, it doesn't need to touch the muscles on the inside to stimulate them, to upregulate their activation. And that, so I hope that makes sense to you. That's just not the way the body works,
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Great question though, Shane. Really, really good.
Yeah, good stuff. Hope you got something out of it. And I know we've all been there, Shane. All three of us have been at the place where we were really questioning the validity of this. And through being fortunate enough to have good friends who are exceptional chiropractors and physiotherapists that we got to talk through. Like we work with these people at our gym. They come and train with us.
Some of the best strength coaches in the world. Some of the
best. Well, that's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. That combined with working with some of the best strength coaches in the world, like this isn't just an opinion that we've come up with ourselves from watching YouTube videos and things like this. It's been developed over years of learning from people that are very, very good in their field. So yeah, hope that helps. All right, let's go, guys. We're going to go live to our UMS coaching group to deliver their daily coaching. It is Friday in Australia. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
See you guys.
Keep the questions coming.